welcome everyone to our class. And now I know there's a lot of new people in the class today. A big welcome to you guys. Just a quick explanation of what's going on. Basically, we're just doing some exercises tonight. Okay, nothing super special. We're looking at some real test questions and we're practicing and trying to pick up some skills. Yeah. Now we're going to do a nice easy warm up this evening. We'll start with the fill in the blanks. Okay, so in this exercise, as you can see, we have a paragraph that has a few missing words, and your job is to write whatever you think the correct word is. So I'll be reading out this piece, and I'll get you guys to do the filling in. Unfortunately, I will not be using the original recordings, mostly due to copyright issues. Yeah, but either way, we can do this exercise. So if you want, to actually have a try at it, maybe go grab some note-taking materials, a pen and paper, or take your notes on the computer. I'll give you guys a few seconds and we'll get started. All right, so lecture number 1. Good luck to everyone. Down the road, the study authors write, a better understanding of sharks' personalities may help scientists learn about what drives their choice of things like prey and habitat. Some sharks are shy, and some are outgoing. Some are adventurous, and some prefer to stick close to what they know. Information that could prove useful in making sense of larger species-wide behaviour patterns. But unfortunately for misadventure-prone clownfish everywhere, all of them, save for a handful of animated Disney exceptions, still see fish as food, not friends. Okay, so that was the first one. Hopefully you've got some notes down. What you want to do is try to finish filling in the blanks and submit your answer within a time limit of about 1 minute. Okay, there is a bit of time pressure in the listening section that you want to get used to. Give you guys a little while and then we'll check through them. So, congratulations, here are the answers. Our first answer is the word personalities, right? Personalities, you want to make sure that you are putting in the plural version. And I think almost everybody had that, right? Now, the reason we point out specific grammar features is because quite often you can't really trust your ears, right? We make mistakes all the time. But you can be sure that the PTE will be giving you a grammatically correct piece of work. Okay, here we see that in this particular sentence, we have sharks plural, right? So if there's a plural number of sharks, there must also be a plural number of personalities. That's a little detail you want to watch out for. The second word was the word habitat, and I think most people got that one correct. That's good. Please ignore my autocorrect. You can see my computer's autocorrecting to capital letters, which shouldn't be the case. Okay, if you do have an autocorrect turned on your computer, you should probably turn it off if you're practicing PTE. Yeah. Number 3, this third word is the word adventurous. Okay, now I noticed that a lot of people have put adventures, right? The plural noun version, but you want to have a quick look at the sentence structure here, right? Look at this comparison. We have some are outgoing and some are something. This should be an adjective. Okay, so that's why we know it's the word adventurous and not adventures, right? So it's not a plural noun position. Yeah, and you can do that just by comparing it with the previous little clause up here. Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. And then finally, the last one was the word patterns. Right, so once again, you just want to make sure that you've got a plural here. I think most people did for that one. Yeah, fantastic. There you go. So those are your 4 answers, and you can just take a note down. Right, remember when we're practicing, we're not too worried about your score. Okay, it's okay if you got 4 out of 4. It's also okay if you got 1 out of 4. You're looking for mistakes and things that you want to be looking out for, right? Learn the tricks and pick up on the repeated mistakes that you're making. Okay, let's move down. Number 2. By the way, if you do have any questions, anything you're not sure about, please feel free to ask. Okay, so 2 decades ago, Kashmiri houseboat owners rubbed their hands every spring at the prospect of the annual influx of tourists. From May to October, the hyacinth-choked waters of Dal Lake saw flotillas of vividly painted shikaras, carrying Indian families, boho Westerners, young travelers, and wide-eyed Japanese. Carpet sellers honed their skills, as did purveyors of anything remotely embroidered, while the houseboats initiated by the British Raj provided unusual accommodation. Then in 1989, separatist and Islamist militancy attacked and everything changed. Hindus and countless Kashmiri business people bolted. At least 35,000 people were killed in a decade. Oh, sorry, let's move that up. The lake stagnated and the houseboats rotted. Any foreigners venturing there risked their lives, proved in 1995 when 5 young Europeans were kidnapped and murdered. For this one, I might just zoom out a bit because what I would like you guys to do, if you have the time, is check the grammar, right? So you do need to refer to the sentence structures. Okay, how are we doing, guys? So most of you should be almost done by now. Let's see, Johnny's put down prospect, tourists, waters, honed, accommodations, attacked, fled, and lives. Not bad, not bad. Give you guys a couple more seconds to put in your answers and then we'll have a look. All right, let's have a check of the answers. So the first answer was the word prospect, right? And now, of course, part of this particular exercise will be checking your vocabularies. So if there is a word that you don't know, like prospect, if it's unfamiliar to you, the only thing you can do is actually take a bit of time and memorize that vocabulary. We're practicing teaching right now, so this should be materials that you can actually go ahead and memorize. Okay, so all the words that we are introducing today are things that you should be remembering if you can. Okay, good. Second one, after prospect, we have tourists, right? And once again, just make sure that you do have your plural there. Okay, next one. After tourists, we have the word waters. Yes, good. So waters, again, plural. Then we have honed. Now, this is, again, a word that a lot of people are not necessarily very familiar with, right? So make sure you do memorize that one as well. Honed means to practice, yeah. Then we've got accommodation. Now, this is a word that I think most people do know, but people are always very uncomfortable spelling, okay? So that's one thing that you want to watch out for. Another interesting you want to watch out for, another interesting thing, is that this is actually accommodation, but it's a conceptual noun, not a plural. Okay, so in other words, it's talking about the idea of accommodation rather than counting how many accommodations there are. Okay, actually, Hi asks, why is the water plural? Okay, let's have a look at this sentence structure. Right, yes, the word water, right, can be plural as well, right? So when we say waters, what we mean is various bodies of water, right? So more than one body of water. So for example, if a single area has a few different lakes and rivers, we can call them the waters. Okay, now this is a fairly native expression. Yeah, so you can think of it as, it's not strictly speaking a plural, it's just a very common form of usage. Yeah. So just remember, right, when we're talking about waters, what we're talking about is a couple of different bodies of water. Yeah. Okay. Now, accommodation, on the other hand, is kind of the opposite situation. If you look at this particular sentence here, right, provided unusual accommodation. Okay, so here we're not interested in the number of accommodations that are being provided. We're interested in the unnatural, the kind of unusual, unnatural nature of a houseboat, right? And that's why it's a singular accommodation here, right? Although I would say, in your defense, if you put a plural, it's actually quite reasonable. This is more a case of, which one kind of fits this particular sentence a little bit better. Strictly speaking, the plural version is not actually grammatically wrong. Okay, next up, after Islamist, we've got Islamist militancy attacked, right? And please note the past tense, ed, right, since we are talking about a past event. Next, we have the word bolted, right? I think, Johnny, you put fled, which is almost exactly the same meaning. Yeah. And then finally, we've got lives, right? And once again, plural. So yeah, very well done. All right, you can have a quick look at your answers and see how many of those you managed to get, right? Generally speaking, I say you want to categorize them. If it's vocabulary based, you need to memorize it. And if it's a grammar mistake, right, that's something you want to watch out for. A single grammar mistake is not a big deal. But if you're making the same one multiple times, that's when you want to watch out. Yeah. Okay, let's move down to question number 3. It is tempting to try to prove that good looks win votes, and many academics have tried. The difficulty is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you cannot behold a politician's face without a veil of extraneous prejudice getting in the way. Does George Bush possess a disarming grin or a facetious smirk? It's hard to find anyone who can look at the president without assessing him politically as well as physically. All right, Rena's in first. We've got difficulty, beholder, look, and physically. Wonderful. Evie going for beholder, smirk, and physically? Yes? All right, excellent. We've got a lot more answers this time round than last time. And I'm very pleasantly surprised. It looks like most of you guys have a pretty good vocabulary. You guys know the word smirk. It's not a very common word, right? All right, wonderful. Excellent. So I think most people actually got 4 out of 4 for this question. So it's a pretty good surprise. We've got the word difficulty, right? Beholder, smirk, and physically. Those were the correct answers. Yes. And then I think most people got those all correct. These should all be lowercase because none of them are at the beginning of a sentence, I believe. Yes. All right. Whenever you practice, I always say this, but you want to build up a bit of a rhythm, okay? Don't spend too long checking answers, all right? Does capital letters matter? Absolutely, okay? If something is the first word of a sentence, it must have a capital letter, right? If something is a name or, for example, a month of the year, right, or a specific location or something like that, the regular things, all of those things need to have capital letters. If you miss a capital letter, it's considered a spelling mistake and you will get deducted. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the things to watch out for. Now, if you've ever been to one of my practice classes, you know that I tend to like to try to trick people with little questions like that. Although because this is teaching, the stuff is probably a little bit easier than what you guys are used to. Yeah.